In case you haven't heard, AI is propping up GDP growth in 2025. And uninitiated CEOs think that means they have time. They believe that any actions they take will be regarded as noise. They're reading the signal backwards. The time to move faster is when your competitors are distracted. Let's just say that it's a good thing when larger, more established incumbents are too self-absorbed to figure out what you're planning. Here's the chaos and threat posed by an AI infrastructure bubble. Massive capital flowing into data centers, semiconductors, cloud infrastructure, foundation model training, all generating constant headlines, analyst coverage, and executive attention. Every infrastructure announcement, every foundation model release, every strategic partnership creates high signal to noise that saturates the information environment. Rational business leaders can't look away because it feels like the race has to be run by everybody. But here's what a lot of advisors miss. The bubble is only a threat to the players. Companies trying to compete on AI infrastructure spending, Fortune 500s, hyperscalers, tech giants burning through hundreds of millions on data centers and new foundation models. Middle market companies aren't players in that game. They've adopted a superior approach. Fortune 500 companies trade capital for capabilities that depreciate in 18 to 24 months. Middle market companies, they're cultivating grit and intellect, which will yield enduring advantage. The noise and chaos the big transnational companies are creating is your concealment layer. Middle market companies are caught in what I call the messy middle. You're too big to use off-the-shelf solutions as is, and your business complexity demands customization. But you're too small to fund $100 million foundation models like Fortune 500 companies or build massive megawatt data centers. While Fortune 500 companies are locked in expensive infrastructure plays and startups are limited to generic tools, you can adopt a drone maker mentality, building custom capabilities with consumer-grade AI tools. While Fortune 500 companies burn through hundreds of millions of dollars watching each other, you're building enduring advantage for a minuscule fraction of the cost. Let me show you the math that makes this urgent. AI capabilities double every 7 months, not improving, doubling. That means any competitive advantage you build today using current AI has an 18 to 24 month lifespan before your competitors can replicate it with better tools for cheaper. Traditional strategy assumes advantage compounds over time. Build a moat, defend it, watch it strengthen. That math is backwards now. In an abundant AI environment, advantages decay unless they're designed to compound automatically. Here's what that looks like in practice. You build a custom AI workflow today that gives you a 6-month lead. 7 months from now, AI capabilities doubles. Your computer can now build 6-month advantage in 3 months with half the effort. Another 7 months, they can replicate it in 6 weeks. The question isn't whether they'll catch up. It's whether your advantage is designed to stay ahead of exponential decay. This is why infrastructure spending is a trap. This is why traditional infrastructure spending is a trap. You're buying depreciating assets in an accelerated market. Every data center, every foundation model, every enterprise AI platform, it's all table stakes within 18-24 months. The only advantages that survive are the ones that get stronger as AI gets better. Let's talk about what's hiding in the noise. That's Clayton Christensen's entire book, Disruptive Innovation, the Bible of asymmetric business strategy. It's a 300-page explanation of taking market share while incumbents say there's nothing to see. Here's why incumbents can't respond even when they see you coming. Organization immune systems. Large companies have built sophisticated processes to filter out noise, prioritize high-margin customers, and maintain focus on their core business. These aren't mistakes. They're survival mechanisms that were honed over decades. Unfortunately, they aren't effective against drone strategies. They have become strategic blind spots in an AI-abundant environment. Incumbents have trained themselves to ignore exactly what you're building. When someone finally raises the alarm, the response is predictable. Committee formation, analysis paralysis, approval chains, and budget cycles. By the time they schedule a meeting to discuss the meeting about your approach, you've already captured the territory. This isn't incompetence, it's organizational physics. Turning a Fortune 500 company is like turning an aircraft carrier. You're a speedboat. You can change direction in hours while they're measuring the turning radius in quarters. The uninitiated will think this strategy hinges on willful blindness or arrogance. It doesn't. It undermines common business practice itself. It subverts the 80-20 rule, the idea that 80% of your profits come from 20% of your customers. That rule forces you to focus on high-signal customers, which sets your signal-to-noise ratio too high to detect threats lurking in the noise. Keep in mind, the entire media ecosystem reinforces it by amplifying high-signal content, which effectively provides cover. It lulls them into a false sense of security and creates groupthink. They believe if everyone is saying the same thing, then it must be right. So what else lives in this noise right now? The 80% they're trained to ignore. Start with the most visible: social media content, community building, and for most executives, the small customers. Executives consume LinkedIn posts, YouTube analysis, podcast insights, but dismiss the creation of that content as low-priority marketing work. Then there's the operational work: legacy system integrations, processes buried in departments that don't show up on strategic roadmaps, the infrastructure that actually runs businesses but doesn't generate board-level discussion. So where are the actual opportunities? Not theoretical gaps. Real business territory you can capture while your competitors are distracted by infrastructure announcements. Start with customer pain points your competitors have abandoned. Fortune 500s optimize for scale and margin. They've systematically walked away from anything that doesn't fit their financial engineering decrees. Look at customer requests they've declined, service tiers they've eliminated, market segments they've deemed too small. That's abandoned territory. It's often 10 to 20% of total market revenue, sitting there waiting for someone willing to serve it. Here's the key. The customers they abandon are the ones most frustrated with standardized solutions. They're already primed to switch. Next, look at your own operational bottlenecks that you've been living with for years. The manual processes your team complains about, but nobody fixes, because that's just how we do it. The data stuck in legacy systems that requires 3 people and 2 days to extract. The client onboarding that takes 6 weeks when it should take 6 hours. Your competitors' customers have the same bottlenecks. They're too busy watching the AI infrastructure rates. You can automate these with consumer-grade AI tools, cut your cycle time by 80%, and turn operational efficiency into a customer acquisition advantage. You're not just faster, you're offering value nobody else can match. Third, integration gaps between best-of-breed tools. Every company is running different software platforms: CRM, ERP, project management, communication tools, analytics. Fortune 500s throw enterprise integration platforms at this problem. 6-figure implementation, 9-month timelines, consultants everywhere. You can build custom integrations that you own with Augment Code, MCP service, and Claude skills in a weekend if need be. Every integration you build is a compound advantage: better data flow, faster decisions, fewer errors. While they're in month 4 of their integration roadmap, you're already deployed 10 custom workflows. Finally, look for category creation opportunities disguised as future improvements. Markets where customers are cobbling together 3 different products to solve one problem, where the incumbent solution was built for yesterday's workflow and everyone's working around its limitations. These aren't disruption plays that threaten anyone's core business. They look like nice-to-have improvements until you've captured the workflow and owned the category. By the time competitors realize that you've created a new standard, customers won't switch back because you become infrastructure. Look for high-value, high-friction territory that incumbents have abandoned, ignored, or outgrown. That's where the drone maker mentality wins. You're not fighting for their core business. You're taking everything they left undefended. To those who have adopted the drone maker mentality, this is the perfect environment for strategic success. We call it phantom threat saturation. The principle: you can navigate an opportunity space and take any action as long as you don't break the noise floor and show up on your competitor's radar. And if you do break the noise floor, you do it in a way that makes you appear small and disorganized, like a flock of birds on the radar, rather than a single combat drone or UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle. In a threat-saturated world, individual signals that look harmless get ignored until the pattern becomes clear. By then, the deed is done. Now, let's talk about the asymmetry phantom threat saturation creates. Defense is exponentially more expensive than offense. You're forcing them to maintain constant vigilance, scanning for threats across every attack surface, identifying vulnerabilities, patching holes as fast as you can create them. But here's the problem. Every patch increases the system complexity. Every defensive layer adds new feature modes. In engineering, this is obvious. Patch a bridge enough times and the structural integrity degrades. Each repair weakens the whole until catastrophic failure. The same principle applies to strategic positioning, except the brittleness is invisible. They're patching their moat while you're already inside the perimeter. This is in theory. We're watching it play out in real time. Massive investments in air defense systems, integrated radar network, command and control infrastructure being deleted on a daily basis. Hundreds of millions in defensive capability designed to stop sophisticated threats. Consumer drones, modified quadcopters, FPV racing drones with explosive payloads. Each drone costs $500 to $2,000. Each air defense system costs $500,000 to $3 million. The math is brutal, but here's the key insight. It's not about overwhelming the defense with numbers. It's about forcing impossible resource allocation decision. Shoot down every $1,000 drone with a $1 million missile, you run out of missiles. Ignore the drones, they take out your $50 million air defense system. Choose which threats to engage. We're inside the decision loop, striking while you're still analyzing. The same principle applies to business strategies. Force your competitors to defend everywhere while you strike where they're not looking. The infrastructure bubble isn't your problem, it's their resource allocation trap. So where do we start? 3 moves that cost almost nothing but compound geometrically. First, audit your portfolio of projects. Prioritize those that can be operated below the competitor's radar. You don't want to raise suspicions or cause any undue concerns from competitors with many more resources. Second, build signal discipline. Continuously hunt for signals that alert you to the emergence of new opportunity spaces and shortcomings in your competitors' defenses that you quickly exploit. Speed matters. However, developing novel solutions matter more. Third, cultivate a drone maker mentality in your team. Reward novelty over perfection. Value adaptive intelligence over rigid policy adherence. Celebrate small wins because those wins compound over time and will strengthen your team's resolve. Look, Fortune 500 companies are burning hundreds of millions on AI infrastructure that will be table stakes in 18 months. They have to. You don't. You can adopt the drone maker mentality and build enduring advantage while they're distracted by the bubble they created.